headed on a road trip north down Highway 15 to find abandoned locations and some rich history. Come along with us and join the adventure. Welcome everyone to Weekend Escapades. Today we have found our way off the beaten path of Highway 15. Behind me right here, this is the Kanara Garage in service. And this means that we are in Kanarraville, Utah, on our way again to that destination, undisclosed. And you can see that it is very well preserved with the old gas pumps. Now, we came to Kanarraville before in the wintertime. There's no prices for the gas. I always like to see the old prices in there, but you can't see it. Oh, maybe 22 cents per gallon, 20 or 35 cents per gallon is what it looks like right there. So 35 cents per gallon. But this is very unique. They've got a lot of the old cans in here. A couple of cars up on the racks. Some old oil dispensers, Coca-Cola machines. Some old Scott motors. So they've got a lot of collectibles and antiques here. And you know, for a little town off the beaten path, there's quite a bit of activity going around. It seems like every time you find old gas stations and things, got you a couple of kids going down the road on a quad. Pretty darn fast for a couple of little kids. But these old destinations like this, when they're well preserved, a lot of Coca-Cola signs. But I always like stopping at the old gas stations. They really took good care of this one. And I found this unique. The Coca-Cola sign, but then it has the Cartwright automotive truck halfway coming out the wall. And this reminds me of an old movie. What was it? Car 54? Where Are You? Something like that. I can't remember the show. Pretty old show, but that's kind of what the car looked like if I remember correctly. I only saw the show a couple of times. But it says 1952 Willys in the window and a big star on the door. And if you see that light flashing at you and a star on the door, that probably means you're in trouble. Let's carry on to our next destination. Roadside right here in Beaver. You can see behind me, you've got the Sleepy Lagoon Motel. That sign is overgrown, but that would have been some beautiful Americana neon. It's right on the road. This was probably a gem in its day. I'm thinking that that beautiful colored body of water would be the lagoon, and there's the abandoned motel right back there. So we're going to drive in, get a little closer, and just explore a bit. So right across from the Sleepy Lagoon, look at this gem. That is beautiful. There's something about the way an old home just abandoned like that and falling apart against the beautiful mountains is just picturesque in an art form of some sort. Looks like the Sleepy Lagoon Motel. Did I say that right? Sleepy Lagoon Motel. Tongue twister, I guess. Got a little waterfall here. A little lazy river looking thing that went down into the... Boy, that is some murky water for sure. But right here, next to these abandoned trailers and things, and there's much more than that on property, this would be the old motel. Look at that, there's bed frames outside. It's almost like a ghost town. The bed frames. This almost looks like something you'd find on Route 66. Looks like the Bates Motel from a Psycho, the movie. So this would be one of the motel rooms. Look at the size of the plate glass window on this motel. Countertop in there with a sink, probably a bathroom behind that wall or the toilet. And that would be the room. And they're all built the same way. All of them with these windows. That one's got like some fake brickwork in there. Little archway, and the heater's still in the wall. And some lattice work. You could make a horror movie here. Never knew this was here. So we've been down the 15 headed towards Salt Lake before. but never turned off in Beaver to see what was here. It's kind of a retro light on top right there, isn't it? And they had ice. Says so right on the door. And hey, hasn't been used in a while, but there's the mower they probably mowed the grounds with and took care of it. Look at the row of lights all the way down here. All these globes are in perfect condition. So nobody's really beating the place up. I don't know. I don't believe it. This would have been a nice old hotel or motel alongside the road, the brickwork, but this sure is dated. But back in its day, I imagine this was beautiful. Look at the bench around this old tree. That's huge. It's like some kind of an old willow tree or something. But they had it all benched and looking good. And you had a little spot here. You had a little light right next to the pond. But I'm telling you, is there water in there? Is that like algae growing over the top of it? It looks like it's water that, oh man, that's disgusting. Okay, we're gonna take off from the, I'm gonna call it the Green Lagoon Motel, and get back in the car, head down the road. Oh, there you go. Didn't see it before, but from here you can see the giant B on the hill for Beaver, Utah. So this, right across the street from the Green Lagoon, as I call it, the hotel, because it was extremely green water in front. That beautiful retro motel. This building here is something to see. It looks to me like they had wiring or something at one time. It was obviously built before electricity, but you could see like the insulators along the front of the house, maybe like right there, or maybe there was electricity hooked up to the front of it at one time. You could see the little window that stuck out. And this is the side, or probably the back of the house, but it's right on the road. But that is beautiful architecture. Look at that with the fence post in it. Beautiful background. So just off Main Street here in Beaver. So off Main Street, there's a little bakery there, some older buildings you can see. You can just tell by the construction, but look at that. It's the old Beaver Press, the county seat weekly newspaper since 1904. Advertising and printing specialties. Now, that's what the window says. But are they still there? Doesn't look like it. But that's okay. I'm sure they still have a newspaper here in Beaver. A lot of the little towns still have newspapers, and that is Utah Hydrographics, Utah's premier hydrographic shop. Look at that. Looks like they put graphics on weapons and also boring rifle. Woo, looks kind of dangerous in there. A little weaponry. Beaver, Utah. But look across the street, right there. Now I'm gonna go read the placard on that because I'm here for the first time and I don't know for sure. That almost looks like an old courthouse to me. And right over here, we're gonna look at that building as well. And there's an old pioneer cabin and wagon to explore. After closer observation, this is in fact the courthouse. Wow. This is a beauty. The county courthouse. Wait till you see the view from right here. That is something else. It's got 4 clocks at the top. You can actually see through in there, through the window at the top as well. Well, I wish we could go in there. Beautiful statues out front. And the old Mormon hand cart right there. We've seen that in a lot of museums. Heck, even in Montana, they had the version of the Mormon hand cart there.
I just can't get over how beautiful this courthouse is in the front. I mean, look at the railings on this. It almost looks like harps. But maybe that's what it is, I'm not sure. But harps and stars. Interesting. And interesting railings. So the old courthouse bell just rang, and it rang twice because it's 2 o'clock. And look at the windows on the side over here. I just can't get over this courthouse. This is probably the most beautiful courthouse I've seen. Okay, so this, Lisa was just doing some investigating. Philo Farnsworth, and maybe you know that name, maybe you don't. But this statue of Philo Farnsworth, he's the father of the television. 1906 to 1971, he is the television creator. And guess what? That's his house. So this house was brought here to Beaver from just a little ways away, from Manderfield, Utah. But this is the house that he lived in, and he invented the TV. That is great information. It doesn't look like it's open, or maybe they don't open it. But here's a picture of him and his lovely wife. Some family photos. The Boy Genius and Mogul. And the Distant Vision. A couple of old books that were donated. One, I'm looking at myself in a mirror in the background. Please do not touch the wagon. I wasn't planning on it, but now I almost feel like doing it. Because it's just right, it's right there. And it's so close.
It's a replication.
Oh, it's a replica wagon. It was reproduced. The reproduction of the wagons used by the Mormon settlement to travel from Omaha, Nebraska to Salt Lake City, Utah. It traveled the entire trail in 1997. So they must have went back and traveled the trail with this wagon in memory of everybody that came across, the pioneers that came across to Salt Lake. Interesting. Don't touch. Making our way across the street to see what this is. This is an older building, but it has, newer doors on it. So this is obviously still in use. But let's go read the history sign and find out what's going on. So 1908, 1909, Beaver Opera House. So this was built using pink stone. And that was the pink stone that it was built with. All around the outside, you can see the original wooden windows and arches out front. They've obviously put some newer doors, metal doors on there. But a beautiful location just the same. The old Beaver Opera House. And that's an old diesel truck going by. So this is just off the road, off the main street, just right next to the armory in Beaver. So pretty active armory too. They've got a crane there, and it looks like they do heavy work on some of the military machinery. Oh, this is the Scout of Beaver County. So the Boy Scouts of America. But what interests me is this obviously historic bell, the Beaver State Tabernacle. On this site in 1865 or 66, a tabernacle was erected by the pioneers. Built of local brick, lumber, and stone, it was of pioneer architecture with large assembly hall. So it had a full basement and a tower and a large bell. There it is. That's that large bell. So that's what's left of it. Now the Boy Scout Lodge is on it, and after 76 years of service, it was torn down. And on this historic spot now stands the home of the Daughters of Utah Pioneer County. So that's what it is, but this is the Boy Scouts of America. So also after a close review, this is an original log cabin, and it was moved here where the tabernacle was. So an original old log cabin with the tabernacle bell out front. There it is.
Moving on down the road, as we've got a few more locations to share with you.
This is the Creamery, and the restaurant right now is closed until October for refurbishment. But they've got some great ice cream and cheese curds in here. Thank you, ma'am. And we are going right in to see for the first time what this looks like.
The creamery has a deep-rooted history that was created here in Beaver, Utah in 1952 when local farmers built the plant that has supplied cheese for the Beaver community ever since. Now there's a couple of gift items and souvenirs, but we're here for the cheese curds, cheese, and of course, ice cream.
So seriously, this is probably the best ice cream that I've had. Creamery ice cream is amazing. This is brownie s'mores, and I don't think I've ever tasted an ice cream quite like it. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Coconut castaway is the best.
Is that your favorite?
Yeah.
I think mine was the s'mores. It's all gone. But on the bottom, I have coconut castaway, and I have to say, it's going to be a close second.
Now that we're stuffed with ice cream, look what we found roadside.
So just leaving the creamery, Beaver does not disappoint because look at this. An old gas station right here off the 15. And some amazing, God, it just got stuck by a bush. Anyway, so look at this old panel right here. What is this? Let's see what kind of grill that it would have had, but it's kind of holding it together with rope. Somebody's looks like they customized it a little bit with portal windows in it. But you know, these are the kind of things you see that are kind of rare. You don't see these things every day. Look at, somebody has definitely customized that in the back with that door in the wood. But this one over here is what I was really interested in. This is the Armored Transport of California Incorporated. Look at that armored car. Even has gun ports in the back. Look at that. Gun ports. Hopefully you can see inside there a little bit. I don't think I've seen an old armored car like this one. Maybe in an old movie or something, but I've never seen one just on the side of the road. Wow. Armored Transport of California. It's not open. Oh my goodness. It is open. Can you imagine driving this everything? It's a stick shift. Look at the old brake. And then right here, this would come out, spring loaded, stick your gun through there to protect all your cargo. Well, that's locked up. Side door to get in the back. This was old number 104, probably in a series of them. The lights on top, GMC 250. Right behind it, I can just tell by the rear end of that one that that's a Camaro. Somebody's going to be getting that one all fixed up. Old hot rod right next to the armored truck. It's in good condition. So we have made it to Manderfield, Utah. Manderfield, Utah, the home of Philo Farnsworth. Now his house was back down the highway this way. They moved it to Beaver. But this is Manderfield, and this is where he resided with his family. But this old farm is right here alongside the road. This is probably one of the oldest locations in Manderfield. There's new construction across the road from it. They're building some nice size houses. But this is what's left here in Manderfield of those pioneer days, those older days with all these buildings. Now it's fenced on both sides. I'm not really trespassing, I don't believe. Just wanted to film this old house. And there's a couple of old log style barns next to me. And you always know you're in a pioneer area or a ghost town area when you find a lot of sheet metal and old tin cans on the ground. But somebody, a little bit newer house that they built there that's also abandoned. Look at all the ranch style buildings back here. Looks like an old outhouse right there. Chicken coops. And they're still keeping hay. Get a little closer to this log cabin style barn. Looks like a garage, honestly. Right there. Look at that. That's a beauty. And then right over here as well. Another one looks like it had power to it. They have an old power pole there. But this was a nice little ranch at one time. You can see there's some old surge metal signs on there. I don't know what those are. Maybe fuel or oil or something. I'd like to walk through there and see what else is in there. Probably some old tractors and antiques and collectibles. This house and the trees out in front of it. Manderfield, Utah. What's left? All right, so tacos acquired from Beaver Taco drive-thru. Finishing up the day with a chicken and 2 shredded beef tacos. We're gonna go all in and let you know how good these are. Adding a little bit of lime there. Checking it out. Chicken taco. Okay, so the review on the taco, amazing as, of course, it is shown online. Beaver Taco, good to go. 10 out of 10.
Thanks for joining us on our trip to Beaver, Utah, headed north. And until our next adventure, goodbye from Weekend Escapades, and we'll see you in the next one.